So I've just always liked racing since I was a kid. I think I was like 5 or 6 years old and sat down watching TV. I was watching monster truck racing, and then it grew to a love of, touring cars, Formula One. So I basically travel the country in the UK and I take pictures of cars, and that's something I've been doing for about 4 or 5 years now. It's gone from a hobby to sort of semi-professional level now, which is really cool. Here I am, 40 years old, and I still love it today.
Racing is far more than just maybe motorsport. It has like this innate ability to change in a split second.
It's a chance for people to determine skill levels and to show how much practice, how much time, how much effort they've put into a sport.
Racing has an incredible ability to bring people together, I think.
I'm a pretty competitive person, and so the ability to kind of challenge people, no matter who you are or where you come from, it's a level playing field once you're out on a track.
It's about pushing things to the limit, both in terms of the machine and the car, and then it's about the drivers or the riders pushing themselves to the limit within that machine.
My favourite thing about racing in Star Citizen is just the skill.
It is a pure use case of how you use our ships to their maximum performance. You have to know them to get everything out of them.
You use ships that aren't necessarily used for practical reasons.
You can race cutters, you can race M50s, you can race Furies, you can race whole A's, you can race whatever you like. And as long as everybody's on a level playing field, it always comes down to skill.
Am I good at racing? I'm all right. Yeah, there are people who are better than me. There are a lot of people who are worse than me. But yeah, I'm good.
To compete with other people, to fly from A to B as fast as possible, that's where real competition is coming from.
We had an internal scoreboard for the old Van der Waal times. I think I beat the next highest score by 10 seconds. We've got a little competition going inside.
I felt like I really nailed that lap, and this guy's gone 15 seconds quicker than me in the same ship. Like, how is that possible?
What other game with this level of quality can you play and race with 6 degrees of freedom? There isn't. There just isn't one.
So last week, a whole bunch of us got into a play session in Arena Commander and did a few classic races.
Most of my stuff has been like single player time trial stuff in Arena Commander or just in the tracks around the PU. So that was the first like big group race that I'd been involved in.
Even though half the people that we did the playtest with, I didn't know, it felt like jumping in with your mates, and yeah, I like that aspect of it.
There was a moment where we were all like lined up and we did like a countdown and we were all going to drive off and get this cool shot of us flying through a cave.
Let me just get down to this first corner actually, because I want to try and catch some people smashing into this rock. I mean, going so perfectly through that.
You mean you want a good angle of the start, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of anticipation, a lot of kind of banter going back and forth. Everyone was hyping up about how great they'd be. And we said go, and they all left and immediately crashed into the first corner.
Oh, wow.
It was carnage.
I mean, there's a hell of a lot of crashing into walls.
Hit me.
Turns out I'm not very good at racing at all, and people who I thought wasn't going to be very good at racing were in fact incredible at racing.
I've never flown into a wall quite as fast as that.
I didn't even get to the first corner.
Every single time I hit the wall, so yeah.
Wait, has everyone crashed? How am I winning?
Let's all regroup at the start line again.
People who make the games you'd think would be really good at it. Yeah, well, maybe we should delete that footage actually.
We had such a big skill gap between the best and the worst. The guys who film all the great capture footage, they were insane.
I got a bit carried away and started actually racing, which isn't ideal because I needed to get footage of other people, but they were all behind me.
I don't remember the name of the player that was winning every race, but it was quite obvious that they were flying with 2 sticks.
Maybe half a lap till the end, Will just comes absolutely tearing past me.
They were just blasting off way ahead of someone like me who literally helped work on the ship. It was kind of funny and a good reminder that just because you make games doesn't mean you're good at them.
Who's that? It's just come under me. Cheeky.
The best racer by far, by leaps and bounds as well.
I've got a lot of envy for Will and his ability to operate our ships. Like, how can you fly our ship better than us?
Oh, who's the worst racer? Oh, I can't answer that question.
It definitely wasn't me, so that's all right.
I think
think I smashed into more gates than I've actually been through.
Someone just exploded right next to me.
My favourite ship is the Razor because it looks like a supercar, and when you get into it, when you're flying it round, it has that aesthetic.
The best racing ship for me was probably the Mirai Razor.
I think everybody knows that the Merlin is one of the best racing ships. It's small, it's light, it's got good engines.
I know Josh really likes the Razor, but I need a little bit more maneuverability in my ships. I found it too fast and not maneuverable enough. I know it looks cool, it's very Formula One-y.
I'm not too bothered about top speed, but handling in the corners and then acceleration out of them, I think that helps the way I fly best. As much as I like flying the Fury, I think the Razor still got it for me.
I don't think I really got disappointed by any of our ships. The one that I found the most difficult to race was the 350R. While it's got good acceleration and a really good max speed, it drifts a lot. I'm in a 350R, and I'm trying to get myself around a corner while the Fury is coming up behind me. The Fury is moving in ways that my 350R can't, and so I'm just having to pick a line and stick to it while the Fury is able to dance around me.
The Fury was incredible because with it being really small and really fast and nippy.
In my opinion, it was the LX, and objectively it was the LX.
I told you, mate, that Fury's rapid. I'm sure it's just the Fury, just the ship.
I've actually found
nothing to do with driver skill at all.
So once again, for the record, it's not Will's skill, it's the Fury.
No, it's 100% just the Fury, yeah. Nothing to do with Will.
The Fury and the Fury LX really surprised me personally. No, bullshit. No, we knew the Fury was going to be good.
140, what the hell, bro?
Look at the Fury! It did a 112!
Oh my god, this thing's fast.
So in Alpha 320, we're introducing the Fury LX.
The Fury LX is the Fury that has been absolutely tooled out for racing. We've removed all of the weapon mounts and replaced them with extra horizontal strafing thrusters. The base Fury's weakest directional thrust was actually strafing. It had a little bit of trouble as it came to sliding around corners, because while the rear main thrusters can gimbal as much as they do, they sometimes struggle to provide like directionally horizontal strafe. So adding the extra thrusters in meant that it now has that little bit of extra push when it comes to correcting itself in those sort of situations.
So the first thing you're going to notice on the LX is definitely the new wings. It's such a striking design, more akin to the Razor, right?
I absolutely adore the new wings. I think the use of negative space and how it's like an F1 wing is some of the nicest racing stuff we've done. It very closely mirrors a lot of the looks in the Razor, which I think is absolutely wonderful in a racing ship like this.
And if you look past the livery, you'll see tons of intricate details, tons of vents, even air brakes, which would be great to work eventually when atmospheric flight and surface controls get brought into the game. What's really cool as well is, from a third-person perspective, you'll obviously see those four thrusters doing their magic again, but they have these really cool light bars along the kind of rear spoilers, and they look really impressive, especially at nighttime. If you're going to take something as key from the design away as like the weapons, right, you need to put something cool in its place. And I think the introduction of that extra MAV, and then it's got so many like aerofoils and different things going on at the front, which just makes it look like it cuts through the air, and it really does. So in the playtest, it definitely performed really well. It was really interesting to see the differences between like the base Fury and that, and then comparing it to obviously to the Razor. It performed as you'd expect, very racy, very cool, very flashy, and there was nothing quite as cool as, like, for me particularly, being one of the people who worked on the Furies, was sitting in the base Fury, driving along, and then having an LX fly past me upside down, spinning by someone who was obviously much better at the game than I am.
So the Fury LX is absolutely for the racer who wants maneuverability over all else. With its gimbling thrusters, with its extra horizontal thrusters, it will easily outmaneuver pretty much anything else out there.
Oh, you know what? We forgot to mention Alex again.
He died.
For 320, we've got some really exciting improvements to the ground vehicles. We've got a brand new TIE model, and this is based on the Pajaka model. It allows us to create a lot more kind of fidelity within the physics for the ground vehicles. So we've got a curve of forces that allow us to control how the vehicles feel and basically how much grip they have when you're trying to turn a corner in these vehicles. So it gives us a lot more fidelity, a lot of control, and this has allowed us to remove a lot of the old arcade mechanics that the old ground vehicles had, which kind of restricted their movement, which is why they felt quite floaty before. So we've taken a lot of those restrictions out of the system. So now when you do a big jump, you'll feel the weight of the car as the nose dives, or if you jump off a ramp or a rock or something, it'll feel like a lot more weighty and a lot more realistic. And also it's going to allow the different vehicles to perform very differently as well. So, we've got a big cyclone buggy, which is really quick and really agile, and it's got loads of power, so you can do drifts in it. We've got a little PTV buggy, a little STV, and these are going to feel more agile. It's really going to allow the players to kind of pick the vehicle which kind of suits them. So we're going to carry on to improve the physics, basically fine-tune the handling within what we've just changed in the physics, but also we're going to convert the ground vehicles to use the power system that is used on the ships in Star Citizen. So that's probably going to be the next big step for these vehicles. They'll use power properly, they'll use fuel, and that's going to be a big change.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that racing is deep in the hearts and minds of many a Star Citizen developer. That it's a fantastic way to test your mettle against others in the least destructive way possible. Alex trying to drag race in a Herald notwithstanding. And that Mirai has a fast new variant of the Fury on its way in the upcoming Alpha 320. And, well, I'd be remiss in mentioning that while we did film this just a few days ago, the winner of this year's Ship Showdown should be crowned right about when this airs. And, if we ended up with 2 Drake ships against one another in the finals, as somebody hopes, John Crew has to legally post a video declaring his love for all things Drake. So I really hope you cast your votes accordingly. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.